Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
This week's show completes the 3 around interviewing, around getting the job, but also about being rejected for the job. So this week's show, I'm going to examine how to deal with being rejected for a job. Right, without any more delay, let's get on with this week's show. Hello, and welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. I hope everyone is well and you are delivering the results through your team and through your hard work. Because if you're listening to this show, you are on the journey to be a good, if not great, leader and manager. Because that's the whole thing we've been doing with the show over the last 3 years, is to give you some tips on how to be better at leading people. And leading people is your passion, I hope. Anyway, talking about jobs and getting jobs, there's a point, as we've said in the last couple of shows, if you haven't listened to the last shows, go have a listen to them. Been talking around words and power words you can use in interviews, been talking about how to deal with those common interview questions. And this one is to close off this trilogy, the original trilogy, all being the best trilogy, as we all know, around the point that you get rejected for a job. So there is points in your career that you're going to get rejected. And, you know, that is the nature of the beast. There is no way around it. There is times where you will go for a job and you think you are the bee's knees. Whatever a bee's knees is good or not. I'd love to know where that statement comes from. But you think you're the best. You think you're great at the job. You nailed the first interview. You got a second interview. You were in the last 2 or last 3. You gave a great presentation in your head. You put it over. The signs, the body language from the people, the questions they were asking were brilliant. The recruiter rang you back, started talking about personal terms, and you think, oh, this is it. Got this. And then you get the, I'm sorry. It's not a yes from them. You're not quite there. They're going to go with the other person. And naturally, you're going to feel a bit down about that. Let's face it, you know, if you are a human, and you know, I'm assuming most of you are, unless you are intergalactic, because it could be going anywhere in the world or the universe, couldn't it? Or if you're an AI intelligence bot now that's gathering this data to clone me and start to create the content for me. I don't think anyone will bother with that. But there is going to be a point where you might get rejected, or you will get rejected. Let's face it. In life, you can't be 100% successful. So you will get rejections for jobs. And it is difficult. It is difficult because you've put a lot of passion normally. You've put a lot of effort. If you follow what I've done in the last few casts, you've rehearsed, you've practiced, you've looked at the company that you're going to work for or want to work for. You've actually got that farther down. You've started to imagine what it would look like in that business. You started to sort of think, well, I can do that. I could do that. Wow, that business there, that could be a real difference. You're doing all these calculations in your head, and everything up to that point's been positive, especially if you get through the first. Now, there's going to be rejections at different levels. You put CVs in on LinkedIn. You can easily apply, click, and you'll get nothing back. Or sometimes you'll get the standard, sorry, you weren't the right person, which really does make me laugh sometimes. You know, you'll get a, sorry, you don't have the experience for this job. And you look at your own CV and think, there's no chance I haven't got the experience for this job. There's obviously another reason, but that's a stock answer. You're going to get used to that. And sometimes you don't even remember you've applied for it. And you know that. And then you'll get the call. So you'll get a call from a recruiter or an agency, and they're very positive. They're real upbeat. You know, I've had a couple that have rung me and sent me CV, sent me achievements through, and they've come back and they've said, oh, this is really good. I'm going to put it in front of the managing director. I'm sure we'll get an interview next week. I'll give you a call back. And you hear nothing. You think, okay, fair enough, didn't work. Those happen. Those are low-level rejections. You've got to take that. Don't take them to heart. Don't take any of this to heart, if we're honest. Be a human and have emotions, but we'll get to that in a minute. And then there's a point where you get a first interview. So you're at first interview stage. There's lots of people at first interview stage. So they've done the prelims, they've done the first sift, and you've got through. Brilliant, well done. You've got first through anyway, so that's great. What they're looking for now is that, the person with a bit of spark. This is where you can use all that great work we did in about your strengths, about tell me about your CV, which was in the last cast, Talk to me about some of your weaknesses, your strengths. Talk through your CV. Do all that good stuff. If you haven't listened to the last cast, go have a listen. Very, very good. I obviously said that myself. And then you get through, so you're on your second interview. At this point, your brain's going ahead. I mean, if you fail at the first interview, then fair enough, you did your best. There's a reason why. You take the feedback. Always take feedback. It's very good to have. If you don't get feedback, ask for it. We'll get to that in a minute. So you didn't get it. You didn't get the job on the first interview, but you got a second interview. So you're into the second interview. Now you're in the real. This is it. You're in the second ones. I mean, I've had a few where I've been down to the last two. So me and this other person, you're like, wow, this is good. You go somewhere, sometimes it's off-site, sometimes it's in a different place, sometimes it's at the place where you're going to work. Be prepared. So let's go into the tips of this. You're in your second interview, be prepared for the second interview, do all the right stuff for the second interview. So you get there and you think it's gone well. Like I said, you've nailed it, everything's perfect, you're in a great place, your recruiter's ringing you, talking around what what package you want. And you're like, whoa, we're in the negotiation stage here. And then they ring you back and go, sorry, they're not going to go with you. You're not the right fit. Okay, you're hit there. Don't blame the messenger. Don't go nuts. When we talk about dealing with rejection, don't go mental with the guy. You go, okay, thank you for that. Okay, that's a shame. Can you explain a little bit more about what went wrong or what wasn't right? It's not you being wrong. Try not to think of it as you being wrong. You might be the wrong fit for that particular organisation at that particular time, then, well, that's fine. But it's not that you're wrong. But also saying you're not perfect. You always can be improved. But take it on board. So take the feedback straight from the recruiter. What was it? Well, they didn't think you had the knowledge in this area, or they think that you just came over as just a little bit not at the right level that they wanted. So you think, okay, take that on board. Fair enough. Now, personally, when you put the phone down and you speak to your significant other, your dog, your cat, whatever, you can have a bit of a rant and a rave at this point. I can't believe they've said that. Experience? I've done that in my sleep. I've run that twice as big as that, 3 times as big. I've worked at X amount of levels. What do you mean experience? Think of it from their point. Sometimes it can be just a fob-off kind of comment, maybe to let you down nicely. Sometimes it's true. Your feelings or view of you is a completely different feelings and view from others. You know yourself looking out. They know you looking in from what you've said. So go back. So take the rejection, have a little bit of a moan, have a whinge. Then what you'll probably do is say, I didn't want a job anyway. Yeah, that business was too small. It's too far away. Commute would have been awful. I don't think that person knew what they're talking about when they interviewed me anyway. He didn't even know this. There's no point in, but you get it out of your system. But, you'll feel that way. That's natural. Don't beat yourself up feeling that way around. Then what do? Well, firstly, you get back on the horse. You take the advice. Was there gaps in your approach, in your presentation at the stage 2, if you did a presentation? Was there a level of inexperience, or was there too much experience? What did you do? Were you too confident? Again, on the other cast, we've talked about balance. How do you balance it? Very difficult. How do you balance it? It's very difficult to know what balance is. I've had some interviews that said, you were too enthusiastic. It's like, what? Wait, what? You're too enthusiastic? And obviously, I'm quite a confident person. But to be said as being too enthusiastic is an amazing one, because you can't teach enthusiasm. You can harness it. You can make it really work for you if you're a good manager. But that happens. So you're going to get that bit of denial, all the grief of it. You're going to get angry about it. But then what you got to do is have a bit of sense. So first thing you do, if you do know the person who interviewed them on LinkedIn or by email, send them a thank you email. I know some people shouting, go, no, they've rejected me. They didn't want me. No, send them it. Be professional. It was a professional interaction. You interviewed, you didn't get the job. They chose someone else. That is the choice. If you're on the other side of the table, you're going to do the same. Out of the 10 people you see at first stage and the 3 or 4 you see at the last, you're going to let half of them down. If there's 2 people in it, you're going to let 50% of the people down. So email them, say thank you for your time. I know it didn't work out this time, but all the best in recruitment in the future. If there's anything else I can help you with, or you need advice on X that you might have saw in the factory or in the office, let me know. I'd love to engage. It leaves a pleasant taste. That person who's let you down will be thinking the same. Oh my God, that person came over so well. It was so close. They were so close. It was down to, I once didn't get a job because the person could start the week after and I had to work my notice. So everything were exactly the same. that person could start before me. You can't do anything about that. That is just out of your control. So be graceful in defeat. Why not be graceful in defeat? It doesn't cost you anything to send an email or a WhatsApp message or a text or LinkedIn. Thank you for your time. Really enjoyed seeing your business. I'm really sorry. I wasn't the candidate you wanted this time. Never mind. I hope we can work in the future. Please keep me in mind if other roles come up that might best suit my talents. All the best. Easy. Done. Bang. I've done that on every one of them. Some reply back. Some are quite graceful and go, oh, yeah, yes, thank you. Really enjoyed seeing you. We'll keep you in mind. Some don't reply. Don't get angry. Don't get angry about that. If they don't reply, they don't reply. You've got to make sure that you are being yourself and being genuine. You've then done it. There's also times, let's say the one where I didn't get the job because the person could start before me. That person, it didn't work out for them. So in 6 months' time, who was the person that they spoke to? Myself. Then I got the job. Now, you could be arrogant, you could have an ego and go, oh, gosh, you got it sloppy seconds or whatever you want to call it. But it isn't. It's a fact that you were graceful, you told them you were as good or on the cusp, you were missing by 1 or 2 points if you think, but you didn't get it that time. But you got it the second time because you were graceful. You weren't sending a ranting email. You could easily go off on one, couldn't you? I can't believe you don't think I've got the experience to run your factory. Your factory's the tiniest thing I've seen. I've run factories 20 times as big. I've worked in organisations with £100 million turnovers. Yours is only doing 500,000. How dare you? How dare you? How arrogant does that sound when you speak out loud? You'd never do that, would you? So be graceful and genuinely graceful. I am. Whenever I say something, I'll say, yep. Thank you. If I can. Sometimes you can't get in touch with people because it goes through recruiters, but thank the recruiter. If you do speak to that person again, thank them for the time. Try to be graceful. Thankfully, in these days and age, there's lots of ways of contacting people, especially if they've invited you. It's normally on the invite, if you go in the calendar, it'll have their email. So email them. You never know when your paths are going to cross in the future. And what do you do then? So you've been rejected. Well, do you curl up in a ball? Well, you can if you want. It's not going to get you a role, but if you want to curl up in a ball, go for it. Lick your wounds, have some time, come back. Go back where you found it. Talk to the recruiters again, see what else is out there. Go on your LinkedIn or your job search sites, find out what's out there. See what there is, see what's going to be around. Have a rethink of what you wanted to do. There could be a reason why you didn't get that role. And I'm not talking about some super divine powered reason, but there might be just a reason. It could be divine power, depends what you believe in. But there's a reason you didn't get the role. And you might think, well, actually, did I want that role? I went for a role. I've always done those roles, but is there something else I could do? Is there somewhere else I could be? I don't necessarily have to do the same thing over and over again. Do I want that senior level anymore? Or do I want a lesser level, depending where you are in your career ladder? Do I want to climb a career ladder? Or actually, am I not interested in this ladder, theoretical ladder? Nowadays, it's not a ladder, is it? But working at height risks, come on, you've got to have permits to be up them ladders. But no, you've got to think to yourself, is it for me? I didn't get it. And if you get knocked back 3 or 4 times for a similar role, do start thinking, firstly, about your approach, how can I do differently and all that good stuff, which is natural feedback, which you should always take as it's a gift. But also, what am I going for? What am I trying to be? Am I actually wanting these kind of roles? Or am I just doing it because I've always done it? There might be something else out there. And I bet you a pound to a penny, in a few months' time, when you do find that role that really comes up and you wanted it and you go through that interview process and you do your CV submission, you do your first interview on the phone, you do your first interview in person, you nail your presentation and you get offered the role, then it'll be the right role for you. And what is right for you now is to send me some feedback on this whole series of interviewing or any other past or present shows that you've seen. So please send them to managermattpodcast@gmail.com. If you don't get an answer straight away, resend it a few times. It could get lost in the ether, but please send it. I will reply. Give us examples of how you have bounced back and recovered from failing as an interview. Okay, that's it for Manager Matt this week. I'm going to go fill in a few more application forms for a couple more jobs. Hope to hear from you on the email, but I will speak to you next week. Thanks for listening and goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast. And if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.